Good evening and welcome to Between the Lanes, episode number 146. I'm Ron.
I am Shane.
And we are here to talk slot cars. Again, welcome to Between the Lanes, episode number 146. You can find us on YouTube. Slot Racers, the channel, 146 episodes, some special episodes, and some how-to videos are over there. Find us on Facebook. Between the Lanes is the page. And we have race results. So we're going to start off with some Womp racing. So last week, Wompamania. So last weekend, and I think this stupid bar is in the way again. Let's see if we can do something here. Oh, didn't really want to do that. Okay. So anyway, last weekend racing at Slot Cars LLC, which is home of the 2020 NASRA Wing Car Nets. And they raced Womps, and it was a non-AWRA event, but they raced Legends, Stock Car, and Sportsman. And this is the podium for, I guess this is the Stock Car podium, which Jason Cooper in the center was the winner. I don't know any other names because no other names was posted. There was just a report posted on Facebook page for Slot Cars LLC, and it's congratulated Jason Cooper for sweeping all three Womp races. So Jason won in the Stock Car, the Sportsman, and the Legends, which I went one too far. There we go. That's the Sportsman podium there. And I don't have the names of the other drivers, and I didn't find them. So, and then 2 weeks ago at Uncle Charlie's, that's in North Carolina, right, Shane?
Uncle Charlie's in North Wilkesboro.
That's right.
So yes, North Carolina.
North Wilkesboro, North Carolina.
If I had to guess, I've only been there once, but I would love to go back and plan on going back. It's maybe 20 minutes from North Wilkesboro Speedway, I believe.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly.
Yeah. You know, side note, when me and Terry was headed back last year from the Bucks race at Turn and Burn, I didn't realize how close we were to North Wilkesboro Speedway. And I said, well, maybe we should just hop off the highway and head over there and check it out, but we didn't. So
yeah, because you could see one of the grandstands, the top of it kind of overhangs into the interstate.
Oh, really? Yeah.
I say it's the interstate. It may not be the interstate. I could be wrong, but
okay.
When you're driving, you can kind of look. You can see the stands right there. It's like, oh.
Okay.
And then Bobby said there's another way you can go to get to Uncle Charlie's that actually takes you in front of North Wilkesboro.
Okay.
So you can see like the front of it or whatnot.
Okay. Well, we didn't go, but anyway, AWRA race last weekend or 2 weekends ago at Uncle Charlie's. Stock Car was won by Charles Eldridge. Tim Varner was second, and Jeff Hilton was third. And then they raced Outlaw Legends. Charles Eldridge was the winner. Jeff Hilton was second, and Leland Buwalda was third. And then in the F1, they only had 3 entries, but Jeff Hilton, a.k.a. Bobo, was the winner. Bobo. They got Bobo on the computer screen.
Yeah.
Okay. Charles Eldridge.
He's a man of many nicknames. Bobo, Cheeseburger.
Okay. So Charles Eldridge was second, and Little Leland was third in that race. Then Archdale Slot Car Speedway in Archdale, North Carolina, had their enduro race. Well, Shane was there.
I was there.
How many hour race was this?
It started at exactly 11 because we were hooked up, lined up, names entered, ready to go. And Tim said you got about 10 minutes if you want to use the restroom, get a drink, stretch out or whatever, because he wanted to start exactly at 11.
Okay.
And I believe we finished up, I would say it was maybe around 4:30-ish because we had reservations for 5:30 to go eat dinner.
Okay.
So between 4:30 and 4:45, we were done.
Okay. So 7 hours? No.
I get
6 hours. 6 hours, yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So Walker McNulty was the winner. Got him the Beast Trophy. Or Archie. Yeah, well, it looks like a beast, but yeah,
I know.
they call it the Archie. I know. So Trey Buck Foster was second, and Tim. Is it Tim Varner? Yeah.
No, Tim D.
Tim D. Yeah, because his name wasn't.
I'm not sure of his last name. It's
Okay.
one of Matt's friends, I believe.
Okay.
Matt actually built him the car because he showed up like 10 minutes before it was time to race. So Matt, to my knowledge, set his car up, got him dialed in, and he was ready to go.
Okay. Tim was third. And then also last weekend was, and I don't have any pictures of the podium, but at Real Speed Raceway, Fort Wayne, Indiana, was race number 2 of the summer series. LMP was won by Zach Holly. Ron Hirschman second. Mike Holly was third. Can-Am was won by Ron Hirschman. Dale Wilson second. Dustin LaRoe was third. GTP Mike Holly over Ron Hirschman and Bill Masters. Bill Masters is the original Willie when it comes to slot car racing. So anyway, and then we raced Group F, which Zach Holly was the winner. Terry Watson was second, and Greg King was third. The SCRRA raced at Buena Park Raceway. And in F1, Dale Yamashita was the winner. Gary Donahoe was second. Bill Conroy third. And then in Can-Am, Brian Warmack was your winner. Dale Yamashita second. Bill Conroy third again. And then I don't have any pictures, but Retro East was back in action. Their first race since, I guess, March at Fast Tracks Bally, Pennsylvania. GTC Coops. Jimmy Williams was your winner. Keith Libby second. Pat Skaggs was third. Can-Am, Keith Libby was the winner. Preston Selfinger was second. And Ed Sull was third. And that is the race reports.
Do we have any Sundays?
Not really.
All right. I'm just staying in tune and in practice.
No, you're good.
Not sure if that was my cue, but I just felt like that was the time to say it.
Well, okay, so this weekend is Mid-South at Slot Car Track Concord, correct?
No, this weekend's Mad Fast.
Oh, Mad Fast. What? Oh, I said Mid-South, yeah.
Yeah.
Excuse me, but Mad Fast is at Slot Car Track Concord this weekend.
I'm trying to think.
And I don't.
Anything else that I know of that you may not know of, but I think
That's like all I have for June at this point.
well, I know. So this weekend's Mad Fast,
Okay.
and the following weekend, I guess, would be the weekend of what, the 27th?
Yeah.
I believe so. I want to say that's a Womp race.
Oh,
What I need to try and do is I need to try to get George on the show with us. And maybe he could do a show with Womps because he's been hot and heavy into like the Womp racing stuff.
okay. We'll have to
Because he
get.
kind of fills me in on dates and, with that, hey, you and Ron have this date? And it's like, no, but if you let me know.
Well, yeah.
You know?
I was like I said, I was on the AWRA page getting the photos from the race 2 weeks ago, and I didn't notice any races for the rest of
I don't know if it's
June.
an AWRA race or if it's just a Womp race. You know what I mean?
Okay. Well, like I said, I was on an AWRA page. So anyway, yeah, that's all I have for June, basically. Because I have nothing else.
Yeah, I'm not
For
doing
this
any more
weekend.
racing until July. Or I don't know if July's really a race, but
Right. And I need to go and see if who else is racing in July and what's going on there. So I know that there's 2, but we'll talk about these in the next couple weeks, next week or 2. But there is the 2 Penn Jersey series final races for their series. They're going to be back in action next month.
right.
So
I know, didn't they post that there's a warm-up race in July also for Israel?
yeah, but that's overseas.
Right.
Yeah, but yeah,
Our followers may want to know.
but
you know.
yeah, but we'll get that on there
All right.
for the calendar. Also announced earlier this week was the 2021 USRA Wing Nats will be at Piranha Raceway out in California. That's Richard Kernut's new raceway. I don't think it's open yet, but
Yeah, I've seen that. That was kind of interesting.
but they've already awarded them the Wing Car Nats for next year. And then the last thing, I talked to Mr. Mazzetti today about FlexiPalooza. I guess he's going to put a questionnaire poll or something up, and
Go from there.
it's either going to be August 22nd or August 29th. He wants to get a general consensus of, I guess, what weekend works better for most people. So we'll see what happens there. So we should have a definite date for FlexiPalooza probably in the next week or two.
Perfect.
And with that said, that's all I have for that. And another part of the, and this is the next segment of the show. We'll talk about masks and wearing masks at races. So, in the vein of the FlexiPalooza, we don't know if masks will be mandatory or optional at this point. Depends on what the state of Michigan says. Currently in Michigan, you're supposed to wear masks. If you're not wearing masks, and I guess the police or the health board of health or something comes in, they can find the business owner, probably shut them down if they want. So Ernie said that the Palooza will abide by the state rules if they're in place, that you have to wear a mask. And if the state rules are not in place, then masks will be optional for the participants. So if you want to wear one, fine. If you don't want to wear one, fine. And then, like last weekend, in Fort Wayne, masks were optional. There was like one guy who wore masks or a mask. You said no one wore a mask where you were at Archdale.
Archdale, if they did, I honestly didn't notice.
Okay. The Retro East was a mask required event as well as this SCRA deal out in California. I don't know about the AWRA race. Didn't look like anybody was wearing masks in the pictures, but
Uncle Charlie's?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I know George didn't, Bobo or Leland or any of them. I think the question was asked if the masks were mandatory or if it was optional, and I think it was optional. If you wanted to wear one, cool. If not, then no problem, kind of deal.
Right. So I had a racer who wrote. He sent me a message and he said, "Nothing bothers me more than an announcement we are going back to racing with no details about how we are doing that during a pandemic. It's fine with me if they say no mask required. We'll do regular 8-lane racing, and we encourage yelling while you race. What's like our race? What's like our race would be complete with no yelling. If that's the scenario, then I can simply stay home and build static plastic model kits. That's what I tried to promote, some discussion of what the hell we plan to do. I would like more discussion on your show about raceways being more upfront about how we race during COVID. Just tell us and let us decide if we want to participate." So I guess that's another reason we're talking about it. So, and then,
I think I've probably been to more races since this has went down than you have, right?
I've been to 2 races now. Yeah, I've been to 2 out of 3 races since we've started racing, and masks were optional at all 3 of those events in the 2 that I went to. So
yeah, I've been to 2 and it was the same. If you wanted to wear a mask, cool. If not, no problem.
Right. Now we masks were optional, and we did not social distance during the racing.
No.
Now I know at Downriver in Detroit, they are doing the 4-lane rotation, like we talked about. I think it was on episode 139. And I've had several people message me and ask me, what episode did you guys talk about this with the rotation and stuff? And I've answered those questions. And so
I think when we raced in Concord for the Mid-South race, like Friday night we just did regular.
Right.
And then Saturday, Timmy brought up, hey, do you want to do it like this or do you want to do it like this? And then I was like, dude, just last night we were racing shoulder to shoulder. The same people are here except for maybe 3 or 4. You
Right.
know,
Right.
if they want to do that, I respect that. But if not, we've all already been side by side, so let's just go. You know.
Right. And in the races I went to, we didn't discuss it, nor did anyone bring it up. Like, can we social distance while we're racing? So,
Right.
And no
I mean,
one.
as far as pits at the Mid-South race, we separated.
Gotcha.
I think because Bobby was on one table, I was on another table. So we were kind of spread out. I think Ralph and James were pitted, but they weren't like right up on. So I mean, for the most part, everyone's spread out. Timmy was kind of in the back corner by himself. I want to say Carl was kind of beside him, but there was distance.
Okay.
So.
But I agree with, like, I mean, I've seen some race series have made in their announcements or their information regarding their first race back or their races back that, they're either doing social distancing and masks, or they're doing masks or no masks. But not everyone's doing that. So my take is, in my opinion, and my wishes from day one have been, if anyone's sick, they need to stay home. Okay.
Right.
And I don't know of anybody that was sick and stayed home. It doesn't matter if they've got a cold, you know what I mean? No one's came to the races sick that I've been to. Okay. So
at this point in time, if you feel like you even or you just feel down, just stay home.
Right. Right. So
do us all a favor, just stay home.
Right. So my thing is still what I said many shows ago. If you don't feel good, stay home.
Right. That's kind of how I feel about it.
Right. And I have no problem with optional masks. I have no problem with mandatory masks. It's just like I've told people, they've asked me what's my take on it. My take is basically real simple. If right now, I mean, I'm going to pick and choose what races I go to just based on importance, basically.
Right.
So, but if there's just we're having a race, we're getting back going, we're having a race, we want you to wear masks. I'm probably not going to go because it's not an important race to go to and then go through the hassle of wearing a mask. I mean, I have nothing against wearing a mask. It doesn't bother me. It doesn't irritate me and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But
be truth be told,
if it was a serious
lately, true in tires, I wear a mask just because the fumes that the tire dust gets off makes me super sinusy.
Right. But if it's but if it was a series race and an important race and you had to wear a mask, then I would go. You know what I mean? Right. So at the same time, if I know masks are optional and I have a problem, like if I think everybody should wear a mask, but they're not going to enforce them to do that, then I'm probably going to stay home. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Of course, this was a discussion of the past week on Slot Car Race Talk, and there's guys out there that think everyone should wear masks, even if they're not required to.
Right.
And I understand personal point of view. I don't want to get sick. I want to be protected. I want to protect my fellow racers. But if your fellow racers don't want to wear masks, that's their option.
Right.
And if you don't like that, then you should probably just stay home.
Right.
I mean, it's all about choices.
Yeah.
And I guess
if it's mandatory and I want to go, then I know going into this race I have to wear a mask.
Right.
If it's optional, then chances are I'm not going to. I've yet to wear a mask during this whole thing.
Right. I mean, it'd be like if they were having the USRA scale nats, which would have been going on right now, or maybe starting next week. No,
next week.
it'd be going on.
Yeah,
no, it was gonna start on the 16th.
I thought it was the week after. Anyways, either way.
Or maybe, I don't know. I haven't wrote down my calendar as a 16th. Anyway, that would have probably been a mask mandatory event, because it was in California. And again, if the USRA Nat's a pretty important race, if I was going to go, having to wear a mask would not keep me from going to the race due to its importance.
I mean, every place you go kind of has its own thing. I mean, me and you talked yesterday. I went to the dentist yesterday to get my teeth cleaned.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so they send an email and you have to fill out. I had to upgrade all my health information. No problem. I had to fill out a little survey stating, you know, hey, have you traveled? Have you come in contact? Did all that. Good to go. You know?
Right.
Call 10 minutes prior to your appointment. Cool. No problem. In the parking lot, call. Okay, we have you down. We will call you. Stay in your car.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, that's how it is.
No problem.
That's how it is when I go get my hair cut. I have to
So
call them. They have to come out to the car and get me. But they don't check my temperature or anything. But they.
But see, that was the thing was she called, and then like right as I walked up to the door and walked in the door, she's like, "Hold your hands out." They squirt hand sanitizer in my hands. No problem. And she's like, "I have to take your temperature again." No problem.
Right.
Okay, come on back. You're good.
Right.
You know, sit down in the seat, and you know, I was thinking about this yesterday. Why they've never done this before? All this even went down just to protect themselves, but. They give you like Listerine. They say swish this around for 30 seconds, spit it out.
Right.
Okay. You know, and I asked, and she was like, "Well, you know, it kills all the bacteria in your mouth." Blah 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 blah. And in my head, I'm thinking, why haven't y'all been doing this prior to all this? 'Cause it's probably still smart. You know?
Right. Right.
You know, I mean, my dental hygienist, she's cleaned my teeth now for 6 years, and generally it's the mask, and you know, they wear like the splatter shield.
Sure. Yeah, they have to.
But
They
this
have
time,
to.
you know, it's gloves, splatter shield, the mask, a hair net. She's got like this long drape thing over her and all that kind of stuff, you know, which
Right.
I get it, you know.
Right. But
So,
okay, so like the other flip side of the coin too is, okay, so like a month ago, there was a race in Fort Wayne. I didn't go to it. That's immaterial, but the race was scheduled. There was a racer who was going to come to it who didn't come to that race. Okay.
right. Mhm.
And then 2 or 3 days after that, he went in for some other testing and it was discovered he had COVID. Now, like, he had no symptoms. He was asymptomatic.
Right.
You know, he had no symptoms. He didn't know he had it. And they tested him and along with some other stuff. But anyway, you know, it's like, you're positive for COVID. Go home and self-quarantine for 2 weeks. Now, that was like, say, on a Tuesday or Wednesday prior or after the Saturday race. Now, a couple questions. Was he infected on that Saturday?
Right.
If he was and he came to the race, he would have exposed like 12 people.
Right.
Okay, or 12, 15 people that were there. And not even known it. And then but he didn't go to the race. So it's kind of like, it's one of those what if scenario deals. Like,
Right.
if he had went and been infected, he didn't know it, he would have exposed, you know.
I think that's their biggest concern now is the people that have it that don't know they have it because they show no symptoms.
Right.
Is how it's still spreading because
Right.
I could have it feel fine, you not have it or whoever, and then hey, let's go to dinner, you know
Right.
what I mean, and boom, you know.
Well, and you know, here's the deal. I mean, I have not worn a mask since the start of this. Now,
Same here.
I've had no symptoms the entire time, but that doesn't mean I'm not, you know, I'm asymptomatic. I could have it right now and not know it. I could have had it 3
Right.
weeks ago. I could have, don't know, because I've never been
Right.
tested. Okay. But there is still a concern, I guess, you know, from people that think everybody else should wear a mask. I understand that. But
Right.
I think if you're wearing a mask and other people aren't, you know, I don't know what, you're protected. I'm not going to say you're 100% protected, but you're better
Right.
protected than the rest of the people in the room. So, again, I'm going racing when I want to go race. If I have to wear a mask, fine. And if I don't, fine. You know, if it's my option.
And if you go to a race and someone else is wearing a mask, that doesn't bother me either.
Well, this weekend we had one guy wore a mask, and
Yeah.
that didn't bother me. And
No.
you know, no one made fun of him or anything like that.
Right.
And I've had a couple people say, well, you know, I don't want to go racing. People's going to make fun of me for wearing my mask. I said, well, I haven't seen that yet. But
Nah, I mean, if someone makes fun of you because you chose to wear a mask, then
Right.
they're the ones that should be eating line. You know what I mean? That's just
actually,
ignorant, if you ask me.
right. I mean, I think like last weekend, the guy that was wearing the mask was probably the smartest guy in the room. Whether he needed it or not,
Right.
he was protected. somewhat, and I guess I was protected from him if he had it and he didn't know it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
So, I mean, again, I don't want to make other people sick.
Right.
But because so many of us have not been tested, we really don't know if we've had it.
I mean, the only way I can say that I don't have it, nor have I ever had it, is with Mom. She went to the doctor and they actually tested her.
Right.
And she doesn't have it, nor does she show the antibodies or whatever it is saying that she has had it.
Right.
You know.
But I mean, that's like you could be tested 8 o'clock Friday morning and you're negative, but you could be infected by 3 o'clock in the afternoon from somebody else. I mean,
especially like with the job sites that I go to.
Right.
You know, but I'm constantly washing my hands and hand sanitizer and all that.
Yeah.
But then again, you know, like you said, that's not 100%. So
no. So I guess to really sum this up, if
choose to wear a mask, I'm not going to make fun of you by no means.
Well, I think number one, if you're concerned about getting the virus, then you should probably stay home.
See, we had one racer even stay home.
Okay.
You know, so like the Mid-South race, I messaged Guy, and I was like, "Hey, Guy, are you coming to race with us?" And he was like, "No, you know, such this, that, no problem."
Right.
I hate to get the miss, but I understand.
Right. Well,
you know,
he's not.
Fast forward to Archdale. Hey, Guy, are you coming to the race at Archdale? No, just because of the social distance. I understand, no problem. Hey,
right.
You know,
right.
I get. I'm not going to sit there. Oh, come on, man. You know what I mean? No,
right.
I mean, that's
he's
his choice. I'm not going to sit there and like bully him into going.
Right.
You know?
He's choosing to not take the risk.
Right.
Even if everybody's.
I respect that.
Right. I do too. Even if everybody's masked up, rubber gloved up, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
I mean, today I was talking to a guy next door, and today was the first time he's been out since the second week of March. This is the first time.
Yeah, I don't know if I can go that long.
Yeah, the first time he's left his house.
Yeah.
It's like, wow.
I mean, it's like we were talking pre-show here. I can't obviously speak for everywhere. Just here, when this first all started happening, you can which they were also telling a lot of people to stay home.
Right.
You know. But like for every 5 people you see, 4 of them people would be wearing a mask. No problem.
Right.
You know, again, I get it. Okay. Now I go out and it's like for every 5 people you see, 1 person's wearing a mask. It's like,
right.
I wouldn't say it's not the same importance or hazard or whatnot. I just think that, I don't know, I guess for lack of better terms, people are just tired of it. They just want to go back to living their life.
Well,
you know?
I think so this is one way I look at it. My postal clerk at the post office across the street, he's not wore a mask or rubber gloves through the whole ordeal.
Right.
And he has not missed a day of work. He hasn't got sick. You know, he's in his mid-50s.
Right.
He's not in I guess the high risk group or whatever, but yeah, he's not wore a mask. He's not wore gloves. He's been in contact with hundreds of people on a daily basis.
Yeah,
and
letters and mail. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, back in the height of this, I mean, I was only going out a couple times a day, going out, coming right back. You know, just getting, going to the post office and mailing stuff or picking mail up or, going to get my drink or whatever and go get food. But other than that, I was in. But I was taking the risk every time I went out by not wearing a mask and wearing gloves. But who knows? Like I said, again, maybe I was infected. I didn't know it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think people are getting to the point where they're over it.
Right.
And, they're like, you know what? It's no different than any other flu or whatever. I mean, not saying it is or it isn't. I'm just saying that's the attitude people are taking on this. And, you look around, you see all these people around you that don't take all the precautions, and they've been fine through the whole ordeal. So, but anyway, back to summing it up. If you feel sick, stay home. If you think everyone should wear a mask and they're not required, then you should probably stay home. it's up to the raceways to do what they want as far as required masks or not required masks. And it depends on what the state's telling them to do. As far as the rotation goes, I think that even with, if you're not going to do masks, then maybe you should think about doing a social distancing thing. But that's going to be up to the racers, I guess, how long they, it's going to make the program longer. It's going to be safer. But that's another option deal too. Like I said, some raceways are doing that. Some raceways aren't. I can't say that I know of anybody that's gotten ill or anything since some of the tracks have reopened. Yeah, just do what your track's telling you to do. And raceways, you should probably, if you're getting ready to come back online, announce what your program is going to be and let your customers know.
Kind of getting the heads up.
So they know going into it. They can decide if they are going to stay home and build models or do something else or come race.
Right.
So,
or at least if they do come, they'll know, do I need to bring a mask or,
Right. I mean,
that's been my biggest thing here lately is like, okay, I went to Randy's first and I asked Randy, do I need to bring a mask or do I not? Or, what's the policy?
Yeah. Right.
And stuff. And he said, you don't have to wear a mask, but we encourage it.
Right.
Okay. And we'll have hand sanitizer, or if you want to bring your own, stuff like that, and just practice social distancing the best you can.
Right.
Arch did the same thing. Do I need to bring a mask or not? No, just, obviously if you're sick, stay home.
Right.
Right. I mean, truthfully, that building's kind of small, so to be social distance is kind of tough. But I mean, it could be done, and we did it.
Right.
So.
But that's the social distancing thing. I mean, it's good and it's bad, but again, you could stay home through the whole pandemic and be married or live with somebody or whatever that goes out every day, and they could bring it home. You wouldn't know it. You know what I mean? So.
Right.
I don't know if the whole social distancing thing is a good thing or bad. I mean, it's probably good. It's probably more good than bad.
Come home and it's like, all right, I got to take these clothes off, put them in the hamper. I got to get a shower.
Right.
You know what I mean? I got to spray my work boots with Lysol and spray this with, it was just like, I'm just getting over this. You know what I mean?
Well, the thing that we will never know is, did the shutdown really help? Or would have made no difference if we hadn't. We'll never know. It could be argued till the cows come home, but we'll never know for sure because everybody went in to shutdown. So whether we did it without having to do it, or whether or maybe it was it saved a lot of people from getting sick and dying, we'll never know for sure. We'll never know.
Right.
So like I said 10 shows ago or something, it's better to be safe than sorry.
Oh yeah.
And
what I mean? And for some, I mean, is like me, my mom's in the restaurant business. They closed.
Right.
I actually enjoyed the fact that they were closed just because it gave her a break.
Right. Right.
I mean, so.
Yep.
And we were financially. I mean, I was still working. Plus, we were financially stable to where. Without having the income, we were still paying our bills and everything was fine.
Right. Yep.
So, and then, like we talked a couple shows ago, you don't really realize how much money you spend on racing until it's shut down. And it's just like, wow.
Well, yeah, I mean, like I went, I don't know, almost 2 months before I had to put gas in the car. It's like, wow, this is weird. Like,
yeah, because I mean, where you live, it's all kind of around town. You can basically just walk and do all your business, right?
Well, yeah, but I would still drive with, but I'm just saying, like, usually I'm filling up the car, once a week.
Oh, yeah.
Because you're going racing every week. And then you don't go race, and it's like, okay.
3-4 weeks on a tank of gas.
Yeah, well, 2 months. You know what I'm saying? I mean, 2 months, I think I only put 200 miles on the car. I mean, like that. That's
I was just like the first time I filled up and drove to go like practice. You know what I mean?
Right.
It was just like, geez, why does it seem like it's taking forever? It's like, oh, that's why, because I did it because I was so used to going all the time. It was just like, like, all right, I'm here,
Well, it was kind of weird getting back on an interstate highway after, not being on one for 2 months. I mean, it was just like, I'm on the interstate. Wow.
Yeah. You look down, you're doing 90. It's like, yeah, I don't think I need to be doing 90.
No, but right. But it was just, it's just kind of different. So
yeah.
Anyway, so that's all I got tonight. Yeah, Raceways, just let people know what you want done. Mask, no mask, social distancing, so people can plan, especially if it's like a series race people are going to travel to.
Right, which I think the best,
please.
The thing is now with it getting into the summer months, some of the series may be slowing down
I don't think there was a whole lot of stuff that got, at least on my end. It's summertime. There's not a whole lot of racing going on. You know what I'm saying? So up this way. So I would definitely missed a lot of racing in March and April. Definitely missed a lot of racing.
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah.
Everywhere. Not just here, but everywhere. So, yep.
So keep your raceways in mind.
Keep your raceways in mind. Yep.
During all this,
Yep. Respect your raceway owners and respect your fellow racers. And that's all we can ask. All right. Anything else?
No, I'm pretty good.
Pretty good? All right.
Yep.
Well,
the word of the show.
I think it's probably going to be masks.
You took the words right out of my mouth.
Okay. Well, until next week, episode number 147. Is that right? I think it's right.
That's your department.
Yes, 147 will be next week. Until then, everyone have a safe and happy weekend.
Oh, happy Father's Day also.
Oh, yeah, that's right. It's happy. Yeah. See, that's totally, I was thinking it was last weekend, but it's totally.
I just remembered that. And I was like, let me. So,
yeah, totally snuck up on me. I mean, like.
Everything going on in the world nowadays,
I mean, I'm finally getting back on track to what today's Monday,
Yeah.
Florida, I
was
was
on a board.
total track of days.
Dry erase board, and I was like, today is this day,
Right. So, all right. Until next weekend, we're out.
See you later.